Abdusabur Ademiwa Adefolakon. And with me on Sincere Talk today, we have in the house a guest who is a notable personality, a public commentator, and a teacher of note. Join me to welcome on this program Comrade Semiu Wahab, the State Deputy Chairman of ASUS, Ogun State. Comrade, you are welcome to Sincere Talk.
Good afternoon. You're welcome.
Today, we shall be looking at the topic, moral decadency among female students in tertiary institutions of learning. When we look at events unfolding in recent times, we will discover that there are news items on the pages of our various newspapers talking about event that happened involving a 300 level mass communication UNILAG student and a CEO of a popular company in Nigeria known as Super TV. It is based on this that we have brought this topic before the house today. So, and then that's why we have in the house an expert who is going to do justice to this topic on Sincere Talk. So, viewers at home, it is time for us to sit down, let us relax, and begin to enjoy this program as we look inward into the topic moral decadency among female students in tertiary institutions of learning. Comrade Wahab, so what is, can you enlighten us, put us through what moral decadency is all about?
Well, good afternoon, viewers at home. In the same vein, I want to appreciate our anchorman. When you mention the term moral decadence, of course, ordinarily there is an acceptable standard of character or conduct expected of an individual by a particular society. And when conduct or character is fall short of that particular standard of morality, of course, then moral decadence comes in. So in other words, moral decadence is the falling short of an acceptable moral standard in any society.
So, thank you very much. Falling short of an acceptable moral norms in any given society. So, looking at it very well, even nowadays, many people doesn't know much, particularly the youth of nowadays. They don't know much about those things that we can refer to as good morals. So maybe because they are not being taught at various schools, or they are not being taught at home. So what are those things that we can actually refer to as good moral values that we don't, doesn't seem to exist in today's society?
Of course, when you look at the societal norms, values that we have in our society, there are very many. Of course, the few one or some of them includes kindness, generosity, selflessness, commitment, and love. When you love one another, of course, it will control your attitude towards other human beings. So all these are embedded in what is called the societal norms and values.
Thank you very much, sir. I think viewers at home are following. Now, let's look at this one. Yeah, reports that flooded various pages of our newspapers, particularly since last week, borders on what happened between one Chidinma, a 300 level mass communication student of the University of Lagos, UNILAG, and then one Usifo Atagu, a CEO of a reputable company. And unfortunately, the man lost his life, and the police are on it anyway. But what lessons can we learn from that? And then what roles are supposed to be played by the parents to ensuring that at least they give, they inculcate in their children, young ones, particularly the female ones who are in our institutions, good habits, good morals, and good values.
Well, I want to thank you, the anchor. Of course, when you look at the case of Chidinma and Mr. Osifo, you discover that that incident is a reflection of high level of moral decadence in our society. In the sense that it is expected that parents ought to have taught their children or imbibe in them certain moral values. And where those moral values are lacking or are not available at all, of course, there will be some level of immorality. What happened between Ms. Chidinma and Mr. Osifo is nothing but high level of immorality. If Chidinma has been properly tutored at home, if she has been properly trained at home, of course, she wouldn't have gone extra mile to have an affair with a married man. Even aside that, if you look at Mr. Osifo too, of course, being a married man, it is expected that a married man ought to have gained or displayed some level of discipline. So, if a married man now goes to the extent of having an affair, an extramarital affair, illicit affair with a spinster, of course, that shows that there is high level of indiscipline between the two parties involved. So, the two of them are grossly indisciplined. And that shows that the level of the morality, the level of moral values, training, that's supposed to be given to individuals are not there. And that goes to portray the level of the moral decadence or the level of decadence we have in our society. So the whole thing boils down to the fact that there is high level of indiscipline. And of course, is a pointer to high level of moral decadence we have in our society.
Thank you, sir. High level of indiscipline, and then boil it down to high level of immorality or moral decadence in our society. But when we look at it, we are in a society whereby the youths believe that whatever they are doing is right. Smoking, gambling, and prostitution, all forms of immoral things. They believe all these things are right. Considering that, don't you think the government, teachers at various levels, parents, and the society at large need much to do to actually curb this act by our young female students in our institution?
Well, I want to thank you. Now, if you look at moral decadence in our society, everybody, every individual, every group has a share of the blame or has a portion of the blame. Teachers, parents, religious leaders, we have shared in our responsibility. And that is why what we witness today is nothing but moral decadence. And not until we are able to arrest the situation. Of course, the level of morality will continue to be on the decline on a daily basis. We have a lot to do as individuals, as teachers. And of course, we just have to wake up from our slumber and make sure we perform our roles and responsibilities as expected of us. The society expects some responsibilities or roles or duties from each of these stakeholders, from teachers, from parents, from religious leaders. So if or until each of these groups or stakeholders are able and ready to perform their roles as expected, of course, the level of moral decadence will continue to be on the decline.
So what do you think should be the solution to this? Most importantly, to students involving in acts of prostitution, and also adults who are even expected to be like parents to these young female students, actually engaging them in immoral sexual acts. What do you think should be the solution to this? So so that we come out of this problem?
Well, I want to thank you. Let's start from home. There is a common saying that charity begins at home. Of course, the level of morality that a parents have will determine the kind of training, the kind of attitude they are going to pass across to their children. So right from home, parents need to be more disciplined than ever before. That's one. Then two, parents need to enlighten and sensitize their children. Of course, education, it is believed that it starts from the cradle to the grave. So as parents, we must ensure that we enlighten our children, we educate them on what the society expects of us. When this continues, automatically we are going to have a right training inculcated in our children. Even aside that, if you look at from the angle of teachers are assumed to be local parents. Of course, if we see our students as our children, automatically we'll be able to mentor them effectively. We'll be able to mentor them rightly. We'll be able to impart in them the right values expected of us. As teachers, we should be role models to our students. So when we are talking about role modeling, it encompasses a lot of things. The way you dress, the way you talk, the way you relate with other human beings, and of course, the way you even portray yourself. So as teachers too, we also have certain roles to play. And even if you look at our religious leaders, they need to brace up. In the sense that if you look at most of these students, they either attend one religious group or the other. And it is believed that religion is the opium of the masses. So as religious leaders, we need to wake up from our slumber in sensitizing, in educating, in enlightening our students. We should also see them, apart from being our worshippers, we should see the youth as our children that actually need certain responsibilities from us, and we should be ready to give them those guidance, those information, those knowledge and education to need in order to achieve in life.
Looking at it from this angle, even there are school of thought who believe that even when you train a child, particularly a female child, when you train her very well to the level of expectation, wherever there is money, there is bound to be issue or problem or a kind of digression. And when we look at the case we mentioned, I think issue of money was also involved. And there are also some religious leaders who believe that, particularly those who are Muslims, that the only way to come out of this lockdown, whereby we have issues, young female students involving having relationship, extramarital relationship with married persons, is to maybe marry 2, marry 3 or 4 wives. While the Christians counterpart believe that you cannot marry more than a wife. And then, don't you believe there is more to it when we look at it from the angle of religion than we do observe?
Well, monogamy or polygamy is individualistic. Sincerely, it's not all about religion. Before the advent of Islam, in West Africa or in even Africa, our forefathers, they are ordinarily polygamous in nature. And that is to tell you or to confirm or acknowledge that polygamy has been in existence before the advent of Islam at all. So the issue of monogamy or polygamy honestly does not come to play here. However, if you look at the issue we are discussing, of course, we have said it that our moral values, our norms have been eroded. And not until we are able to bring back those moral values, honestly, we won't forge ahead. You see, one of the concepts of Omoluabi in Yoruba nation or Yoruba land is what is called dignity of labor. And apart from this, contentment. These are the bottom line. Not until we are able to restore, we are able to bring back the concept of dignity of labor in our individual life. And aside that, contentment is also a major factor. A child that is not contented, a child that has not been exposed to the concept, to the advantages of dignity of labor, of course, there's no way he won't help. But when these two values are inculcated in a particular child, of course, there will be some level of morality from him. So, one of the ways forward is that we should continue to promote dignity of labor, and contentment should be our watchword.
We have to, contentment should be our watchword. That's the key point there. And let's look at this quickly before our time runs out. What about the effect of drug on these tertiary students of tertiary institutions, particularly the female ones? I think recently it is becoming so alarming when you see young female students smoking marijuana and some other hard drugs. How can we curb this act? And what role does the government or the parents has to play at ensuring that they nip it at the bud?
Well, when you talk about the issue of drug abuse, honestly, it's everybody's business. Everybody should be blamed for the way at which our children or youth abuse drug. And just like I said, charity begins at home. Parents need to inculcate moral values in their children. And even if you look at the government, from the government point of view as well, government needs a lot to be done. All right? If you look at drug abuse, I want to see it as one of the effects of high rate of unemployment we have in the country. Because there is a common saying that an idle hand is devil's workshop. So any child, any youth that is gainfully employed, of course, he will have or think of, drug abuse. But where there's a high level of unemployment everywhere, of course, when you are not occupied, you just have to find something to do. And that is what we are saying. So the government should ensure that they make provision for employment so that our youth will be gainfully employed. Then aside that, as individuals too, we have a role to play. Because I believe that even if parents have actually inculcated the right training in their children, and government actually make available employment, as individuals too, we still have a role to play. Because all of us are stakeholders. Whether you are a parent, you are a politician, or you belong to the government circle, or you are just a citizen, you have a role to play. So all of us should keep our eagle eyes on our youth. Because whatever happens to them, of course, is going to affect the entire citizens in the nation.
We still have more of Chidinma in our various schools, in our various tertiary institutions of learning, and more importantly, even in our secondary school. What's your advice to parents at home, particularly those that are having young female students in schools, far away from them?
Well, my sincere admonition to our parents is that they should continue to monitor their children. The fact that a particular child has been admitted doesn't make him an adult. Of course, there's still need for them to monitor and supervise their activities. Nothing stops parents from visiting their wards or children in schools regularly to check their attitude, to check their conduct, to check the way they relate. Of course, if parents check on their children regularly, of course, they will be able to discover some of this misdemeanor at the early stage, and it will be easy for them to actually curb it or to control it. So, my sincere admonition is that parents should not believe because their children have been admitted into tertiary institution, they should leave them. They should still continue to monitor them. They should still continue to supervise them, so that at the end of the day, they won't have cause to regret over their children. Then, as students do, we should imbibe some level of morality. Because if perchance or perhaps you run far of some level of societal values, you have yourself to be blamed. So, as students, you must ensure that you engage yourself and you have what is called self-evaluation at regular interval. You'll be able to know whether you're actually progressing or you are declining. So,
thank you very much, our guest. We want to ask you, what's your last word for the students, particularly female students that we are looking at today, for the parents at home? You're also a teacher. For teachers like you, when we are talking about teacher, right from primary school to tertiary institution of learning, teachers remain teachers. And then to every member of the society in general.
But I want to thank you. Of course, my parting shot for students generally is that, of course, having identified their ambition or desire, they should ensure they pursue it to a logical conclusion without giving room for any distraction. Of course, there could be obstacles, there could be challenges here and there, but whatever be the obstacle or challenges, they are all surmountable. Of course, to parents generally, I want to continue to advise them and appeal to them to ensure they monitor their children. They should not leave their children all alone, even when they are at the final year of whatever education stratum they belong. Parents should continue to monitor them. Aside that, parents should live up to their expectation. Even when you have children, having certain source of money or livelihood, you must still see them as your responsibility. You must still see them as your property. And of course, that will force you, that will encourage you to continue to struggle in performing your responsibilities and roles on them. And finally, on teachers, well, my sincere admonition to teachers is that we should live up to expectation. And we should see our students as our children, believing that whatever goes around comes around. Whatever you do unto your students, automatically you are going to reap it, either directly or indirectly, today or tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That is
You're welcome.
Moral decadence is a disease. Of course, it's a canker worm that has eaten deep into our nation fabrics. But all of us have roles to play. That is, all hands must be on deck to ensure that we nip this at the bud for the benefits of the society, for the benefits of our future generation, for the benefits of parents, and for the betterment of our great country. We all have roles to play, and that's the message from our guest today, Comrade Semiu Wahab. Thank you very much. We have invited you, and you have come to deliver to us. Once again, we want to thank you for coming up to this program today. God bless you, sir.
Well, on a final note, I want to appreciate the organizer of this particular program, and sincerely I want to appreciate you for giving me that opportunity to express my view. And let me assure you that anytime I am called upon to come around for another beautiful edition, I will be willing to be around. So thank you. You are welcome.
That's a word of encouragement coming from Comrade Semiu Wahab. Surely we look forward to see you on another day on this episode, Sincere Talk. Viewers at home, we have come to the end of today's package on Sincere Talk. By the Spirit grace of God, we are going to meet in subsequent edition. Till then, I remain your anchor man, Sabur Adifalako. Goodbye.
City of Abeokuta, introducing Solar Distinct Group of Schools, the citadel of knowledge with the aim of making students legends or empowering them with the key to success. We have conducive classrooms, standard science laboratory, modern boarding facilities, and many more. Solar Distinct College is opposite Crown Royal Hotel, Abiolawe, Abeokuta, Ogun State. Telephone numbers are 080-343-86383 or 080-644-74033.
Solar Distinct College, the school with distinction.